have been obsessed with this crochet pattern. And today, we're finally going to start making it. I'm so excited. Let's do it. The pattern I am making today is the Fluffy Sweater by Kuzoknits. I have already done my gauge swatch and figured out all of my measurements and calculations for the pattern. So I am now ready to jump on in. I'm going to frog this so that I can use this same yarn. Okay, we have finished frogging our gauge swatch. I'm like very curious, do people like keep their gauge swatches or do you frog them and use the yarn? I feel like I'd be wasting yarn if I didn't frog the swatch. And it's like I've already written down what the gauge swatch told me. You know, my gauge is 10 stitches make 4 inches, 6 rows makes 4 inches. Now that I have that info, do I need the physical swatch? I don't know. I don't usually make gauge swatches, but I needed to for this project. And what is best practice here? I don't know. What do you do? Do you keep your gauge swatch or do you frog it and use the yarn? This is like a comically large crochet hook. I'm chaining with a 15mm hook, and I've never used a hook this big before, it's kind of cracking me up because it just feels huge. Just finished my chain, so now I feel like I can actually pick up some speed, but check out this sunset. It's so pretty today. The sun has set, so I'm quickly losing light here, but I finished my chain. I have gotten started on the main body of work after the chain, so now I don't really need to be like counting and can chat a little bit. So this crochet pattern is the Fluffy Sweater by Kuzoknits. I have been obsessed with this pattern for like months and months and months and months, maybe even over a year. I don't know, when did this pattern come out? I'm actually not quite sure, but basically since I saw it in like a YouTube short, I have been wanting to make it. I bought the pattern months ago. I bought the yarn months ago, but just haven't really had. I've just had a bunch of other projects that I had lined up to do first. It's been summer, so the idea of making a sweater didn't sound very appealing because I just knew I wasn't going to be able to wear it anytime soon. But today is September 21st, which means tomorrow is the official first day of autumn, of fall. I'm so excited. It's actually been cooling off here. I have been wearing some of my clothes. I've been wearing some of my clothes. I've been naked this whole summer. No, wearing more of like my sweaters and sweatshirts and pants lately. So I feel like it is the perfect time to be making a sweater. I just think that this looks very cool and cute, and I'm hoping that mine turns out just as good as the patterned photos look. I actually haven't had a ton of time to crochet lately. It feels really good to have a hook in hand, even though this hook is humongous. It's like the busiest part of the year for me right now. I just have a lot of like social obligations. I don't know, what is this plant? It's all great stuff like baby showers, bachelorette parties, bridal showers. I have 2 weddings coming up in October. Both are for people who are like my very close friends, so I'm involved in all of the extra celebrations and whatnot, which is such a lovely thing. I'm so happy that like I get to celebrate all of these like milestones with my friends. But I'm also just really tired. Over the course of 3-ish months, I will only be spending like 2 weekends at home. This weekend was one of those weekends, and my parents came to visit, so it wasn't even like a very relaxing weekend. Again, good stuff. I'm happy they came to visit. It was awesome to like show them where we live and give them the grand tour of everything, of the house that we bought and all of that good stuff. I am exhausted. I think I'm also just like exhausted by the state of the world and just feeling kind of like helpless, and like I can't fix everything, which is, you know, sometimes all you want is to fix the whole world, and it's impossible for one person to do that. But yeah, if you've been feeling kind of helpless, I'm right there with you. And I think all of our little actions do amount to big change. So just keep on doing the little things. That's all we really can do. Anyway, I'm going to keep on crocheting into the evening. It is getting very dark, so I don't know how much you'll be able to see. Yeah, that's just kind of what's been going on with me lately. And yeah, I'm tired of listening to my own voice, so I'm gonna go watch a movie. I'm a bit unsure where we last left off. Life has been so busy lately, and it's been weeks since I've worked on this. Let me give you an update as to where we are as far as progress goes. So this is, either the front panel or the back panel, depending on what I choose. And yeah, this is it. I think that if I spend a good amount of time working on this today, I can at least finish this panel, which would be awesome. So to see a little bit closer what we're working with, yeah, we've just got this beautiful stitch. It's half double crochet, and just like I'm using a giant hook and very loose tension to get like this fluffy, airy effect. And I think it's really cool. I'm kind of obsessed with this pattern, mainly the fact that it's just really easy and mindless, kind of just what I need right now. And also I just think it's gonna, I think and I hope it's gonna turn out really cute. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep chugging along with this. This is actually the first weekend in a month that I am spending at home with nothing to do. I have things to do. I need to like clean. Obviously, my house is a disaster because we've just been so busy. So things have not been maintained the way that I would like them to be, just as far as like keeping things clean and tidy. So I'll be working on that this weekend, but that's about it. So I'm like really, really happy and just grateful that I have this weekend to chill. The next 2 weekends, I will also be out of town. I have a wedding next weekend, and then I have another wedding the weekend after. And I'm actually going to be taking that week off in between. Both of the weddings are not local to where I live, so we're going to travel back home for the first one. And then from there, we are traveling to Nashville. I've never been to Nashville before. I'm really excited to check it out. And we're actually going to spend a week there. So that will be really cool. I do love adventuring and going new places and seeing the people that I love and all that good stuff. But I'm also the type of person that needs time at home to do this, to just like read or crochet or lay on the floor and stare at the ceiling in order to kind of recharge for like the next round of adventure. So yeah, this is much needed, and I'm really happy to be crocheting. How have you been? What have you been up to? Are you as busy in this season of life as I am? Another thing we can chat about. I love reading. but I'm like having a really hard time reading books that are stressful, like have any type of like really, really high intensity situations. I started reading 1984 because I had never read it, and obviously, like, I don't know, I've been meaning to read it. I try to read a few classics every year. I haven't always been a big reader. Like, I started when I was a kid. I hated reading. I think I just was really bad at it, so I felt really discouraged to read. And then I got to middle school, and the Twilight books were all the rage, and I read Twilight, and that like just sparked my love for reading. And like, I don't know, maybe that's embarrassing to admit, but that's like, as much as those books are terrible, I love them because they like really got me into reading. And then from there I read Harry Potter and The Hunger Games and like all of these beautiful books that like I'm obsessed with, and like kind of defined my like tweenhood and teenagehood. But that being said, there are like a lot of children's books that I kind of missed out on because I wasn't a reader when I was younger. So because I've been like so stressed, and not like stressed, but I don't know, just like any type of book with any type of really high intensity stressful situations is kind of making me not want to read. I like put down 1984, and now I'm just reading children's books, and yeah, it feels cool like to read things that I kind of missed out on. And also like some children's books of course are still very stressful, but I found that I can manage the level of intensity in the children's books right now. So I'm reading Anne of Green Gables currently, and I'm obsessed. I've only read maybe like 50 pages, but it's so good. I'm obsessed with Anne, and she just has like such a beautiful soul. And so I'm really happy to be reading that. I've also been reading the Wrinkle in Time books, and those have been kind of fun as well. One of the books that I read recently that isn't a children's book, but I am also equally obsessed with for the lack of intensity, is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I read that one a couple months ago, actually. Ever since I read it, all I want to do is just reread it over and over and over again. Obviously, there is conflict because you can't really have a story without conflict, but it's like so low stress. Like it's stressful, but it's not like 1984 stressful. It's not like Hunger Games stressful where people are like dying. And it just was lovely. Like, it was very atmospheric, very magical. And if you are looking for books that are like very low intensity and just kind of make you feel good currently, those are two I'd recommend. Anne of Green Gables, if you are wanting to like be more reminded of like nature and its beauty, definitely dive into that. And then The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, if you want something a little bit more magical, a little bit more atmospheric, highly recommend. And it's like spooky season, so reading a witch book sounds kind of nice. Honestly, I know I read it this year, but I think I might reread that after I read Anne of Green Gables because I just keep thinking about it. I'm obsessed with it. I love witches, and it was just such a sweet book. Very cute, very low stress. Fluffy, I would say, kind of fluffy. So if you aren't wanting something super fluffy, maybe don't read it. But I loved it. Recently, I just started watching Twin Peaks. I don't know what the show is about, but we started it last night. And wow, the drama. It's so dramatic. We watched like the first half of the first episode because it's like 2 hours long, and it was 9:30, and I was like, I can't stay awake any longer. I'll let you know how I feel about it as we keep going, but very dramatic acting. I'm kind of loving that. The other news is, if you haven't heard of Canopy, it is basically the library, but for movies. So like, you know, if you go to a library, they'll have like DVDs that you can rent. They actually have like a streaming service that's free. Basically, you get like a certain amount of tickets every month, and then you can watch movies from the library. Very recently, my family did the thing where it's like, I paid for this streaming service and my dad paid for this streaming service and my sister paid for this streaming service and like so on and so forth. And then we all just used them, which I know is like, maybe I'm incriminating myself by saying that, but like, I think everyone was doing that for a while. And now I feel like every streaming service is like onto us, you know, if you're not on the same Wi-Fi, you can't use the streaming service anymore. So basically I have one streaming service that works. My family actually just altogether canceled Netflix because my dad was paying for it and he doesn't use it. And then we were all like, yeah, it doesn't even work at our houses anymore. So if you want to cancel it, by all means. So anyway, I have like one streaming service and that's how we're watching Twin Peaks. It's on Paramount Plus, I believe. Well, yeah, it's on Paramount Plus. That's the one that we pay for. But then I was like, should I pay for all these streaming services? Do I even want to support, do I even want to financially support all of these corporations? Not really, but also like, I do want to watch some movies, especially like, I want to watch like Halloween Town and Hocus Pocus. And I don't know, I've been craving like Studio Ghibli movies because I just want something like beautiful and comforting. But I'm like, I don't really want to pay for them. I don't want to give these people my money. At least right now. I might change my mind if and when I get very bored. Canopy. Canopy is the library's movie platform. You get a certain amount of tickets every month, and then like each movie costs like a different amount of tickets. I say cost with quotation marks because you don't pay for the tickets. They just are, you know, the amount you get for free for having a library card. So we were kind of looking at that yesterday and definitely going to start using Canopy because the library is so cool. Like there were some really good movies on there. Ones that I've been wanting to watch but haven't seen yet. Things that are like critically acclaimed and, you know, some things that I've like never heard of before. But definitely look into that if you are trying to kind of step away from like giving corporations your money, and then you'll be supporting your local library by utilizing Canopy. And like you can just download the app onto your smart TV. We have a Roku, so we downloaded the app to our Roku and we were like exploring what they have on there yesterday. So I definitely think I want to kind of like just utilize the library. And maybe one day I'll just get rid of all my streaming services and stop watching TV. Unlikely. I love TV. So I have just finished my first ball of mohair, and I'm realizing I don't think I ever told you what yarn I'm working with right now. So I figured as I tie in my new ball of mohair, I'll let you know what I'm using. So I am pairing these two yarns together. So I've got the Hobie upcycled alpaca. It's too many words. Hobie upcycled alpaca wool big. So this is the label. Yes. So it's 50% alpaca, 50% wool. And this is cool. It's kind of made with like the scraps from like after other yarns have been made. So that is kind of cool. I like the idea of that. Hopefully it is actually kind of a more like sustainable yarn, but I don't know. I would need to do more research to really figure that out. And then doubled with this Friends Kid Silk. So this is 72% mohair, 25% silk, and 3% wool. Here's our label. This isn't looking exactly like Kuzoknits sweater. Hers is like so airy and like fluffy and beautiful. And I need to look at what yarn she uses because I kind of want to make like exactly the same one that she has made. This is like beautiful, don't get me wrong. I'm obsessed with it. I'm really excited to have the sweater once it's made. But I do think there's probably like a better option if you're trying to get something that looks more close to the original garment. I will keep making these until I figure it out, but let me put in this fresh ball of mohair and we can get working again. I've already used one ball of the upcycled alpaca wool big. I'm on my second ball right now, which is like, I don't know, less than halfway used. And then this is my second ball of mohair. So the alpaca wool blend goes a little bit faster than the mohair. And I think it's because, yeah, I believe these are both, how many grams is this? Okay, so this is 50 grams. Oh, and this is 25 grams. It's just that it's like so thin that yardage wise, it's way different. So for the mohair, yardage is 200 meters or 218 yards, whereas the alpaca wool is 120 meters or 131 yards. My brain's not doing math. Obviously, yardage wise, this is way longer than our wool alpaca blend. Anyway, that's what I'm working with. I am really liking both of these yarns. I feel like I won't be able to give like a, I don't know, I'm not the person to recommend yarn. I don't think. I'm pretty like not picky, but I'll give an update about how I feel about both of these once it's done and I can actually wear it, because who knows, this could be like the softest sweater of all time. It could also be really itchy. I feel like I'm not gonna be able to tell until I actually wear it, but I'll likely wear an undershirt anyway because it's quite holey, and if this is for the winter I might not be very warm in just this sweater alone. So I'll keep you updated with that. So I have finished this panel, which turns out is the back panel. I thought that the front panel and back panel were identical, but they're not. So I have finished my back panel. It's very soft and cozy. I'm really excited for this to be done because I want to wear it right now. I have now started on my front panel. I have the first row done. It's the next day, and I actually just finished the front panel. We have it here. I am moving on to the sleeves now that I have the back and front panels done. I probably won't get a lot done today because I'm actually gonna go, I just ate dinner, so I'm not gonna eat dinner, but I'm going to dinner with my partner and a couple of our friends. That will be really lovely, just to hang out with them for a little bit. I'm gonna get ready for dinner and enjoy the sunset a little bit longer. I thought that I would have finished this project before my traveling began, But alas, here we are. I did not finish, but let's give you an update. I am currently at my dad's house because I have a wedding to go to this weekend. But prior to this trip, I have finished... No. I thought I had finished one sleeve, but now I don't think that's true. Making a mess. I'm making a mess of things. Okay. I have made this much progress on the first sleeve. I believe this is supposed to be like 41 rows. How many do I have? I have 23 rows done. So I have 18 more rows left to do. I figure I would give you another update. So I finished the sleeve I was working on earlier. Turns out I only needed 31 rows, not 41 rows. So it went by way faster than I anticipated, which is also very good because I thought I was going to run out of yarn. And now I for sure, maybe I shouldn't say for sure. Am I jinxing myself? I am like 99% sure that I have plenty of yarn. So I'm working on my second sleeve, and this is where we are. Also, sorry, I'm just like casually so spread eagle. This is how I like to crochet, okay? It's comfortable for me. Anyway, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 rows. So 21 more rows, and then I'm done with the sleeves. Then it's just a matter of assembly, and then there's something I do for the neckline as well, just to, I don't know if it's ribbing or a few rows to make it just look a little more finished, but we'll get there when we get there in the pattern. So I'm just gonna keep working on this. Honestly, I've just been sitting here. I haven't been watching TV. I haven't been listening to anything. But I am listening to a new audiobook, and I'm like, maybe I'll put that on. It is called, let's see, I just got it through Libby, as I do all of my audiobooks. I enjoy the library. It's free. And also, like, let's keep libraries a thing. I am reading Not for the Faint of Heart. I don't really know much about this book, but I must have heard about it somewhere. I think I heard about it from like a Lena Norm's video, actually. And I put it on my like to read on Storygraph, and then just kind of put it on. But by the time, I heard about it so long ago that now when I started it, I couldn't really remember what it was about. And I'm not far enough into it to really know what it's about either, so I can't really tell you anything.
Hello. It's been a while since we have met like this. I am still working on my sweater. It's been like, over a month now? Yikes.
It's been a really long time since my last update. I'm just struggling to get this done. But not because it's difficult, just because life has been busy. And then also, hang on, let me move my mic. It's bothering me. Hopefully that picks this up well enough. But also just because the sweater is now all sewn together. And I put it on, and it's ginormous. It's huge. So I've been procrastinating working on it because it doesn't fit me correctly, and I'm not going to frog the whole thing. But also I'm like, depending on how I do the neck ribbing, it could turn out still quite wearable for me, or it could just be like really wide in the neck. So I just have been procrastinating figuring all of that out. But let me try it on and show you where we are. Lengthwise, I don't think it's too long. And I could also add like ribbing to the bottom to kind of like cinch it in a bit, like how the sleeves are cinched in. The sleeves are so long that you can't even see like the cuff. I wanted the sleeves to be just long enough to show that it's like quite poofy, but not for it to like hang over the cuff so that you can't see the cuff, which in the pattern she said you could do either. So we're here like this. I think it still looks fine, but it just didn't turn out the way I wanted it to turn out, and that's okay. But today I'm gonna finish the neck ribbing and then see if I want to put some ribbing at the bottom, and then it's done. So yeah, just sad that my sleeves are too long. I'll have to make another one at some point, and I probably will choose a different color as well. I'm a little bit bummed, but I'll still wear it. It's fine. So I am wearing my sweater, as you can kind of see. And we are going to go cut down our Christmas tree. We got permits to cut down our tree this year. Also, my partner and I have been together for like 7 years. We've lived together for like 5. We've never had a Christmas tree. So this is very, very exciting. I'm pretty pumped. But right now, we're gonna get some breakfast, and then we'll be on our way into the forest. So we are scoping out for a Christmas tree, or we have been for hours. Look at how pretty it is out here. Ah, so beautiful. And I think we found one. Look at this guy. It's huge, probably a little bit too big for our house, but we got 2 permits. You're allowed, well, it's technically 1 permit for 2 trees, I think. I don't know, whatever. We're allowed to cut down 2 trees. So we're gonna get one and bring it to my dad's house. He doesn't know that we're doing that, and he'll probably be annoyed, but it'll bring me lots of joy. So, worth it. So this is the one for my dad's house, and then we have to find the one for ours. Let's get to cutting. We found our tree. This one right here. We're gonna cut it down. We decided actually against that other giant tree for my dad's house. It's just gonna be too complicated because it's so big, so we're gonna have to find a different one. But this one, she's coming home with us. We have found tree number 2. Pretty cute and a bit more manageable.
Timber! Woo!
So my sweater is done and my Christmas tree is up. First, thoughts on making this sweater, and then second, thoughts on cutting down my own Christmas tree. I really enjoyed making this sweater. I think you actually could get it done, honestly, in a day if you're pretty fast, but definitely in a weekend as like someone who's maybe an advanced beginner. It was really fun. Definitely recommend the pattern. I probably will make it again. I do think I would use different yarn. Honestly, I think that the best yarn to use for this would probably be some type of like wool acrylic blend. I typically steer clear of synthetic fibers. It's just personal preference, no judgment if you use synthetic fibers, but this might be a case in which I would consider using some type of wool acrylic blend. I don't know. I'd have to find the right yarn before I make this pattern again. Now, thoughts on cutting down my own Christmas tree. I think it was really fun. It was like cool to be on the hunt for the perfect tree for our house. We actually ended up getting a tree that is way too big for our house. I'll show it to you in a future video, but it was very fun nonetheless, and it cracks me up to see this tree take up pretty much half my living room. Besides the actual activity itself, I wanted to express some thoughts and feelings about going into the forest and cutting down a tree. I think that prior to working for the National Park Service, I don't work for the NPS anymore, but I did for about a year. And prior to living in an area that is really high wildfire risk, I might see that and be like, oh no, deforestation, or like contributing to loss of trees. You know, like it seems like a sad scary, bad thing to do. Now that I live somewhere that is like really high fire risk and I understand what is done in this area to not prevent wildfires, but to mitigate the damage that they do. And that's not just damage to like human owned property. That's also damage to old growth trees, actual like native trees and plants and things like that. So I'm going to explain this in the best way I can. I'm not a scientist. I'm not an expert on this. So I could just be wrong. And feel free to correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But the best I understand this, at least in the national forest that we got our permits for to cut down Christmas trees, the national forest sells tree cutting permits this time of year to essentially help with hazardous fuel reduction. So basically cutting down trees that are grouped together really closely, and these are like relatively smaller trees, up to 20 feet, which is very big. I don't know anyone who could fit a 20-foot tree in their house. Tells you what tax bracket I'm in. Let's go back a little bit. Basically, humans in this country used to do like fire suppression in the forests. Basically, if a fire was happening, put it out right away, not practicing prescribed burning. And this is like, I'm not talking about indigenous people to this area, I'm just talking about essentially people that settled here that weren't originally from here. And so fire suppression was practiced for a very long time, and what that allowed to happen was smaller trees sprouting up. And then when wildfires happen now, there is like a lot more fuel in the form of like small shrubbery and smaller trees, things like that, that are more closely packed together. And then when fires roll through, there's just a lot more fuel that will then catch and burn hotter and higher, and then actually damage older growth trees that have been here for a long time. Fire is a natural part of this ecosystem, and because humans prevented them from happening in the forests, we kind of are trying to now mitigate the damage that we've caused by not allowing fire to do its thing within this ecosystem. So where I live, I actually feel little guilt for going into the forest that has this designated Christmas tree cutting area, because I know that it actually is going to essentially be helpful for the ecosystem in allowing wildfire to be a natural part of the ecosystem, but not cause as much damage due to previous human interference, which sounds very silly and hypocritical because now I'm interfering by being a human and cutting down a tree. But anyway, I hope you get what I'm trying to say. There are instances, of course, where I definitely do not support the cutting down of trees. I definitely do not support deforestation and all of that good stuff. But just kind of wanted to do a little bit of explaining, potentially a poor explanation, but that's how I understand it as far as trees and fire and everything goes in my neck of the woods. So yeah, I highly recommend looking into the history of all that because it is very interesting if you are interested. That's pretty much it. Okay, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!